The blowback came 2 years later. In December of 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland. Gaddafi's revenge killed 270 people.
At the time, I supported retaliation, but seeing what the consequences of that bombing were, I would have opposed it at this point. And I opposed those kinds of violent acts of retaliation because ultimately they don't work. And ultimately, they do have unintended consequences. Blowback.
Fighting terrorists offered the CIA a chance to regain popular support after years of disdain. But it also required using tactics that could blow up in the agency's face. In the early 80s, to help contain Khomeini's Shiite terrorists, the U.S. turned to an unlikely ally, the Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein.
If you're going to work the terrorist problem, you're going to have to deal with unsavory people. I mean, terrorism raises the question of dealing with people you wouldn't necessarily want as a member of your family. You wouldn't want your daughter marrying one of these people. Very often, they're that kind of person, okay? Scumbags.
In 1980, Saddam Hussein started a long, bloody war with Iran. President Reagan and Director Casey set up a secret deal to assist Saddam. The CIA gave him critical intelligence to help his regime fight the war. In return, they expected him to stop harboring international terrorists.
The thought was that maybe go over and talk to Saddam Hussein about giving us Abu Abbas, because he really owed us some. So I went over there, and we were met by the fellow by the name of Fadl Barak, pistol at his side, and I began to explain what I want. Well, I mean to say, he was speechless. His eyes rolled around his head, and he didn't know what to say, and, you know, I was out of my mind. Clearly, I was a lunatic.
Claridge asked Saddam's intelligence chief to turn over Abu Abbas, the terrorist responsible for the hijacking of an Italian cruise ship, the Achille Lauro. His men had taken a wheelchair-bound Jewish-American passenger, Leon Klinghoffer, and thrown him into the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I didn't give this thing much chance anyways, okay? So I said, hey, Fadl, I'll tell you something. I want you to tell Abu Abbas that I'm coming after him, and when I get to him, I'm gonna kill him. For the first time in the whole day, Fadl smiled, because I'd finally said something he could compute.
Saddam Hussein never gave the United States Abu Abbas, but the Iraqi leader overestimated U.S. tolerance, and in 1990 invaded Kuwait. Saddam lost the Gulf War, but his regime survived. The CIA, which only a few years earlier had assisted him, has since supported repeated attempts by dissident Iraqis to remove him from power.
I don't quite know how to phrase this because I would hate to sound cruel and that sort of thing, but with all the Kurds being killed and the rough situation in Iraq, I just can't help wonder why we haven't killed Saddam Hussein yet. If we could get him out of the picture, it'd be much easier.
Let me say that we have a law in this country, I don't know when it was passed, against assassination of foreign...
The agency, which had launched assassination plots against at least 9 foreign leaders, only stopped the tactic when Congress passed a law against it in 1975. Not only ethics were at issue.
There's no public official in the world any more vulnerable than the President of the United States. And if the United States gets into the assassination business, we're going to lose a president very fast.
The threat to U.S. officials hit home in January 1993, when a terrorist gunman opened fire on agency employees as they sat in their cars at an intersection outside CIA headquarters. The attack left 2 dead and 3 seriously wounded. The accused killer, who escaped and is still at large, was a veteran of the Holy War in Afghanistan. Blowback from one of the agency's greatest victories had struck at their front gate. Unfortunately, there was more to come.